So this is a video that I've been wanting to make for a while, and it's just a equipment and shop tour. I'm gonna basically go over everything I have, my likes and dislikes of just about everything, and just kind of show you guys what we got going here. So this is like our newest addition to the fleet. We got it last fall to plow the hospital, and it's gonna have a pretty easy summer life. It's really just gonna be parked into that carport most of the summer, except when we're loading bigger trailers or bigger trucks with mulch. Came with a 3-yard bucket, but it just wasn't big enough, so we had a local welder fab up something, so now it's like a 4.5-yard bucket. And obviously, you know, you wouldn't want to move gravel with it, you'd want to take it off, but it's really nice for snow and for mulch, compost, anything light. It's really good for. It weighs 33,000 pounds. It's the 427. We have a 14-foot Arctic on it. Pretty good tires. It's got a pretty good ride, easy to get into, and everything's gonna be a little bit dirty, so don't mind that. But here's the view from the cockpit. Extremely comfortable seat, obviously an air ride seat, a bunch of different adjustments you can make. It's really actually more comfy than like a regular pickup truck or anything you'd really drive on the road. But it's pretty good. It's a lot of fun to drive. Definitely a little scary when you have someone else in it that's not you, just because you can do quite a bit of damage really fast. It is a very expensive piece of equipment. I literally spent more money on this loader than I did my house and my property. But it makes a lot of money in the winter, and it was worth getting. So now we'll get into the real workhorses of the business, skid steers. And I did organize these best to worst. We have a 2017 Teleskid, and this is the version of the 8-foot boom, so this actually goes out, which is extremely handy for when you're grading, or extremely handy when you're unloading pallets out of a dump truck. You don't need to get out for your last pallet. You can just literally use the boom and drag it out. Overall, it's definitely the best skid steer that I have ever had. Not even close. I mean, we've rented skid steers before when we didn't have any, and the stupid thing is you have to climb through the bucket to get in it. It didn't make any sense. So we saw a JCB, obviously with the side door, and we thought that made a whole lot more sense since we're in and out of these things all day. As you can see here, you don't climb through any bucket, take a step in, and you're in. I'm not gonna bother getting into every single one. They're all wicked dirty, and I'm kind of wearing nice clothes right now. But the cockpit from all of them is the exact same. The only difference with this one, and why it's my favorite, so normal skid steer, right? Obviously, that's as far as you go. The bucket tip's probably about 4 feet away from me. And now, this is the good part. So obviously when you're grading up against the building or something like that, and you want a little bit more visibility to see exactly what you're doing, you have much better instead of looking at your blade right here. So stacking snowbanks, grading, getting pallets out of trucks, putting anything up high, it's extremely easy with this. I saw this the year it came out, and I thought, wow, that's pretty cool, and I gotta have it. So we went out and bought it, and we never really looked back since. So that was the main reason behind JCB. I'm not like a stick to one brand kind of guy. I just had really good luck with that. I loved it. I love the easy access and visibility you had in it compared to other skid steers. And that's why we stick with JCB. We didn't even shop around. We went for a wheel loader because our service department treated us pretty well. But there is one big bugaboo that JCB does have, and I'm sure you all know it by now, is their reliability. Now, just from my experience, it seems like every snowstorm, something breaks. It's pretty unbelievable just how unreliable they are. I mean, just for instance, I almost put this one worse than this one just because of how unreliable it is. We currently don't have a window. sometimes we don't even have a door. This thing is just absolutely horrible. Every time you use it, it breaks. You can't do anything about it. I don't know if it's the vibration from it being a track machine or if the door is just twisted or what, but we have ripped the door. The door's fallen off before. The window falls out what seems like 5 times a year. Just, you know, a bunch of little things that just they could easily definitely fix. You know, that's just been my experience and what I've had to deal with. But this is our track machine. It is a 260T, I believe. Yep. Both of these, by the way, they both weigh about the same. They're about 10,000 pounds each. I like this thing. The only real thing I like about it is the wide tracks. I get a size 12 shoe and does nothing against these tracks. They're phenomenal on grass. They don't tear anything up really at all. They're actually not that bad in the snow either. And they just do a really good job. So anytime we're trying to be careful, which we always are on every landscape job, this is what we bring for on lawns. Obviously the Teleskid, with it being heavy and being a tire machine, destroys lawns, so I always try to leave that here. Now this is something we picked up last fall as well, because we at the hospital we really needed to buy a loader and a skid steer, not just one. And this was the only model they had. It is a 215, I believe, and there is a pretty big weight difference. I don't know if you can actually tell in the video or not, but these two machines here, like I said, are 10,000 pounds, and this one drops all the way down to like 7,400. It's got about the same road speed, which isn't that bad, because its main purpose in its life is to plow like 4 parking lots in town. So it's not bad. It's got much narrower tires, so it does just pretty good on the pavement and the snow. It's probably a better view of how small it is. You can kind of see there. It actually has just about the same amount of reach into the sky as that middle skid steer, which is pretty crazy. So it can actually load a big truck still, which is really nice. So this is a brand new machine. Oh, and that one, these are both 2017s. I know I said the Teleskid was a 2017. This 260T is also a 2017. The difference is we bought that new and we bought this used. Might have something to do with the amount of problems we've had with it, but then again, we've had problems with just about everything here except for the Kubota in case. But you know, this is probably my least favorite, and because honestly it's just because of the power and the weight. I mean, comparing it to like if you're a landscaper just starting and you're debating, you know, a small skid steer or, you know, a medium-sized tractor or whatever, well, small-sized tractor, which we have here, they're both pretty comparable. I'll actually go over some details between the two, but it's all right. But if you're into hardscape or anything serious where you're going to be moving heavy stuff constantly all the time, you're obviously better off buying something big and spending the extra money. But since we already have two, it just kind of made sense. So this Kubota tractor we actually bought new. I'm not 100% sure on the year. I want to say it's a 2011 or 2012. I could be wrong, but it's like a 45 horse, I believe, and it's a pretty good comparison to the small skid steer here. So the advantages of the small skid steer versus this tractor. So obviously you can tell it's much shorter. So if you're, as far as access and room and mobility, the skid steer is going to have it beat. The skid steer also has it beat in the lift capacity. Even though this is a small skid steer, this thing can still lift 3,000 pounds easily, no problem. This 45 horse tractor, on the other hand, not so much. A half yard of sand and it can barely lift it up. So I mean, that's right around 1,500 pounds there. So the lift capacity on even on the small one is still about double. And with our big ones, they can lift like 4,500 pounds. And I'm pretty sure my payloader can lift like 12,000. Now with some advantages on the Kubota side. So, and this is something that probably no one really ever thinks about, but a lot of jobs that we do, we're taking mulch or aggregates out of the dump truck bucket by bucket. So if you want to get as much as you can, with the skid steer, your tires start to take your truck at about 3.5 feet. Tractor, on the other hand, your front end will hit the truck at 4.5 feet. So you have about another foot of room here with your bucket, which is really handy when you're trying to get stuff out of, you know, small dump trucks and stuff like that. That way you don't have to shovel as much. It's paid off, that's why we still have it. I'm not really the biggest fan of it. It's all right, but I will admit one thing. It is some reliable. We have never, ever had issues with this thing at all. Actually, I broke the quick attach once, but that was, you know, purely my fault because I had it disconnected and I was trying to lift something heavy, and of course it came undone and it twisted the whole quick attach. But that was my fault, that wasn't the tractor's fault. So just comparing, you know, this Kubota here compared to our fleet of JCBs, obviously the reliability is so far superior in the Kubota end. I mean, we use this, we still use this every storm in the winter just to load sand trucks, and there's never an issue. These, on the other hand, you go and plow some snowflakes and you're repairing something. It's just the way it is. But we have a fleet and we're lucky to have a fleet, so when one breaks down we can just use the other one. That gets me back to the point about buying your dealer and not buying your brand. The reason why we haven't, you know, swapped over to Cat or anything like that is just because our service has been really good. Obviously, if that wasn't the case, we'd be leaving. But to me, the visibility and the easy access and the innovation on the JCB end far outweighs their reliability issue, and that's why I stick with them. If we have really nice turf tires on it, so kind of like the track skid steer over here, it is amazing on lawns. We still use it all the time, and we'll probably never get rid of it, sell it, or trade it in, just because it is nice to have. Overall, yeah, no real issues with this thing. I hated it for the longest time just because it could never lift any pallets of anything, because we do move a lot of heavy pallets in the hardscape jobs, so this was kind of useless for that. But if you're a landscaper and you're just starting out and you're just moving some loam and a little bit of mulch and nothing really heavy like gravel or pavers or anything like that, this is going to be a nice tractor for you. It does the regeneration stages, which is kind of annoying, but it's alright. Not as good of a ride as the loader, obviously, with the seat, but it's still pretty comfy, plenty of room. I mean, I'm 6'2" and I can barely touch the glass here. Works good, very easy to figure out, very easy to use. Hydrostatic transmission. Still good for small stuff, but if you're on anything serious, anything heavy, it's a little small and a little weak. Now, arguably, my favorite thing that we have just might be this beat up piece of crap CX36B. I have no idea, but I've never had any issues with it. I beat it unbelievably every single day in the summer, to the point where I feel really bad for it. And it just goes through it. I never have issues. Put grease in it, change the oil, put some diesel in it, and it runs great. Very reliable. It's got a pretty good bucket on it. I'd say close to 1/4 of a yard, mounted. So I actually can move a decent amount pretty fast. Obviously, a dream scenario would be to keep this and to get a midi excavator, something 18,000 pounds or a little bit bigger. I've been looking for one for quite a while now, but we've been using this probably 5 or 6 years now. I bought it used, and my grandfather actually helped me buy it, and I had to take care of some of his land, and it worked out really well for both of us. But this thing's obviously not comfy, very sketchy to dig on your side because there's very little counterweight. This machine weighs like 8,500 pounds. It still has, you know, just a normal mini excavator. It's got good visibility, decent room, nothing to brag about. The Kubota cab is much better. The JCB cabs are much better. Always surprised with how much it can lift. I mean, we've pulled out some absolutely ridiculous rocks on some of our wall jobs. And we're just in awe sometimes of the strength of this machine, even though how small it is. But like I said, I mean, it does have its disadvantages, and that is digging to your side. It's extremely tippy. I do have a way too big of a bucket on this thing, that's probably why, but it is very tippy, so you gotta be careful with it. But overall, I love it. I probably would never ever sell this thing. I'm gonna run it till it either blows up or catches on fire. And I'll always have it, at least for a backup, and if not, just for small jobs. So next up is a Polaris Ranger 1000. This is the cab model. It has radio, heat, AC, all the goodies in there. I actually bought this for like, because my dad originally owned all the shares of the company, and I think I gave him like 30% for this thing. I absolutely love it. I mean, we don't really actually use it to work that much. It might go to like one job site a year. We got some like tool racks in it. Put rakes and shovels in there. Like we were just using this at the hospital grounds to do mulch and stuff like that. And it actually did work pretty good. But this is kind of mainly more for bringing it to camp and burn hunting with. The cab is all right. There's times where I think it's extremely cheap. A lot of times this rubber here that seals the door, that falls out constantly. There's a ton of air that comes through here, so it's kind of annoying, especially when you're trying to keep it warm when you're ice fishing. A little on the cheesy side. I think the Kubotas and John Deere's utility side-by-sides are a lot better as far as a durable, good quality cab. But that's not really that much of a complaint for me. I still like it. My big complaint about this thing is the horrible seats. We have like they're bench seats. They're hard, they're shitty, they're not comfy. There's no like adjustments you can really do. And then you go and sit, and then you go and ride with, you know, your friends that have these or sportier side-by-sides, and they got bucket seats. And it's just like, why can't they put these bucket seats in here? Because if you could put bucket seats in this thing would be the ultimate side-by-side. It'd be absolutely awesome. You know, you can't beat the AC on a wicked hot day when you're riding all day. You don't get dusty. It's wicked nice. You get no tree branches hitting you or anything crazy like that. So yeah, if they could put some good bucket seats in here, this would be the ultimate side-by-side in my opinion. We do have tracks for it. Obviously, I do a lot of ice fishing and stuff with this, so getting to my camp with the tracks, because we have to take it on a snowmobile trail, that's pretty nice and really fun. So that's essentially our equipment. I'll kind of save the mowers for a different section, but overall we got a good fleet of equipment right now, and hopefully the plateau, or maybe get a couple more things. So now onto the trucks. Of course, they're parked in wicked giant potholes, so it doesn't look like a very good video right now, I'm sure, but I did rank these favorite to least favorite. So we'll start out with my favorite truck of all time, not even close. The 2019 F550. This thing's my baby. I love it. The first job I ever did with it, I absolutely fell in love with it. Everything about this truck is severely overpowered. The brakes are unbelievable. You know, all I do is haul like gravel and absolutely mound that stuff with excavated fill on jobs. And beat the snot out of it. And we changed the brakes at like 66,000, and the brakes just last forever. And comparing that to the 1-ton dump, which is over there, that's on its 5th set of brakes, and it has less miles. So we have 5 brakes in a GMC product compared to 1 brake in a Ford product, just from being overbuilt. The engine, obviously it's a Power Stroke, no issues with that pulling, absolutely plenty of power. The dump body, definitely the best dump body I've ever seen on a 550. This thing is absolutely huge. I can put 6 yards of mulch in it, and I usually haul 4 yards of gravel with it. I mean, you can put 5, but the pump won't dump it, and it hauls 5 yards of gravel just fine. So I don't know if you can tell by the side. I know it's a shitty lighting situation here, but you know, the 1-ton dump, which is a 3-yard shit body, and that 550 over there, which is more like a 5-yard good body. But no real complaints about the truck at all. I mean, it does ride like absolute garbage, but you know, it's a 550 truck. I didn't expect it to ride really nice or anything like that. And this is going to be probably hard for everyone to believe, but this truck turns better than any sedan car on the road. It's unbelievable. I mean, I'm one of those guys who has a million things on my mind every day. So when I'm doing deliveries at the end of the day or beginning of the day or whatever, I forget to turn on the road. And I'm like, crap. Well, no problem with this truck, because you can whip a U-turn like you wouldn't believe in it. The turning radius is best in class by far. I actually did test it out. We have a piece of shit Jetta here, and this 550 literally turned better than a 2003 Jetta. Like we did the hospital, so when we're salting the hospital to get in and around cars, it's just a beautiful truck to salt with and get every nook and cranny of a parking lot with. The cockpit or the cab, it's nothing to brag about. It's just plain Jane. You have like a shitty small radio there. Now, we get cameras in all of our trucks, except this one isn't working right now. It's got cruise control, Bluetooth, all that stuff. But like I said, I mean, obviously it rides. I mean, this is the worst riding truck I've ever had, and I used to have a Peterbilt, and this thing is just... You either have to have a good back to drive it, or you need to see a chiropractor daily, because it's honestly unbelievable how bad it is. But that's really the only complaint. This truck's a monster. I love it. I actually ordered another one. So now I'll have two 550s, which will be nice, because this truck actually got in an accident late in the winter, and it went down, and it was horrible, because this is obviously our most valuable truck. So not having it for a couple months was detrimental. But yeah, definitely my favorite truck of all time. I don't see a truck ever beating that. As far, it's just perfect for me. It's perfect for small jobs. It can even do some bigger size jobs. It's great. A great all-around truck you can use for anything, and anyone can drive it. My second favorite truck of all time, really for just looks, really, is our 2020, I believe, GMC Denali. Is a 3/4 ton black, which I love. I hate these white trucks here. I just think it looks so much better, especially when it's clean. I mean, yeah, it obviously gets dirty fast, but I always wash the stuff, try to keep it, you know, for the most part, pretty clean. And this truck, I absolutely love the looks of it. Reason why the Denali over a Platinum or anything like that is really boiled down to just the front end, honestly. That's what it was. I think the front end of these Denali trucks are pretty unbeatable. The big chrome grille is very attractive. I like the mirrors. I just like everything about the looks of this truck. So we mainly use this truck. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, this is kind of like our luxury truck. It's the truck that we take to camp. It's the truck that we like to drive around in, do estimates with. In the springtime is really when we use it the most, just because the 550 is usually full of material. So we put the trailer on this, we'll haul the skid steers around, and it actually hauls pretty good for a little truck. It does all right. The only issue is really that the braking, the exhaust brake in these trucks, you know, comparing to the 550 are garbage. It's got the cool tailgate you can snap in half. I hated it at first, but it's pretty cool. I like it. It's got like a Pepe handle for when you do break it down. You can actually pick that up. And that's your handle to get in. Have an auxiliary tank, 90-gallon tank for diesel, which I have no idea how we used to not have one. Extremely handy. Can go to all of our jobs, fill up everything. Back's very attractive for this truck too. Probably not quite as attractive as the front. Reason why I went with 3/4 ton, not a 350, is because the state didn't have any 350s at the time. But I really wanted to get the 3/4 ton just because it rides a little bit better on dirt roads. You don't really tell a difference in the highway, but we do tell a difference is when you're on dirt roads, hitting big potholes and stuff like that. There is a noticeable difference. This cab's pretty damn nice. I think the Fords are a little bit better now. Push to start, I hate that, but whatever. See, it's, you know, it's pretty attractive, pretty nice, pretty cool. I hate this. We had a 2016 SLT, and I actually liked that console better. I think this is just weird. It's like a bunch of open space here, which I don't like, but I'm being really picky about it. Heated seats, AC seats, which I've never had before, and the AC seats are amazing. I do love them. Heated steering wheel. By far my favorite feature of this truck is the camera. Obviously when I saw this I was like, wow, that's stupid, I'm gonna turn that off. But pretty big difference, right? You can clearly see what's behind you versus Oh, let me adjust it. I can't quite see. Oh, I can kind of see. Oh, it's kind of blurry. Well, nope. This is 4K quality. It never gets snow on it somehow. You can see everything crystal clear, and you don't have to adjust it. It's a camera. So you can have your thing over here if you wanted. You can still see it. So that is definitely my favorite part about this truck, hands down. It's got a tiny baby sunroof. Ford's is the whole way back, which I like a lot better, but I'll settle. Still a wicked nice truck. Ride's incredible. But like I said, where the issue is the braking. These GMCs, they like to put wicked shitty brakes, and they can't stop any weight. So when we're hauling, you know, 14,000 pounds, which is our skid steer and our trailer, which is the max for a ball hitch on this truck, even with the exhaust brake, the gearing's just so underpowered compared to the 550 for hauling any serious weight or doing any serious work. So, but yeah, that's really my only complaint. But then again, it's a little baby truck, so I didn't expect it to be a crazy workhorse truck. Now, onto the gas trucks. Ugh. This truck here is our mowing truck. It is the 7.3 liter Godzilla engine, which somehow, some way has the same amount of horsepower as that Duramax does on a 6,000 pound chassis. So this truck right here is actually 2,300 pounds less than this truck, even though it's a 350, because of the single cab and the Ford's lightness. This truck rips. It is incredibly fun to drive. It's the fastest truck here. It would smoke that Duramax all day long. But that's about it. You know, I mean, even the Duramax can tow better. It can brake better. This 7.3 gas, which I do actually like, even though it is gas, there's plenty of power. Again, the transmission, or I should say the gearing, it's got a 10-speed in it, and it does not brake well at all. I tried hauling the track skid steer once with it, and no way. Does not like it. The braking sucks. It's absolutely terrible. You know, you got A+ braking, you got like B- braking, then you got like D+ braking here. Not sure why they do the 10-speed with this. I think they're garbage. It almost like gets confused a lot, especially when you're going hard with the truck. It will like skip 3 gears and then go down one really fast. It's just odd. But like I said, I mean, it is plenty of power. It's just the braking's the issue. It's not like a luxurious truck or anything. You know, it doesn't look that nice. It's just a cheap work truck. You know, no fancy tailgate, nothing like that. It's still got a backup camera. So 350 chassis. Cab's nothing great. Got some camo seating in here. See if you can hear it. You can hear it. For a gas truck, it's pretty loud. Again, with this Ford thing, I don't know what it is, but holy cow, does this truck ride like shit. This is not a very good riding truck at all. You know, I'm comparing it to the Denali over there. But yeah, even with some weight in it, this truck doesn't ride very good. I know with the 550, when you load it, it actually rides really good. But this truck just doesn't seem to ride very well. You know, we have nothing for miles on it. I think we have like 19,000 or something like that. But actually, a good big touchscreen. I almost prefer this whole setup versus the Denali's. I actually kind of like it. It's pretty sweet. The speakers do suck in here. Obviously, there's Bose and the Denali, but it's just some junk cheap speakers in here. So, but yeah, I mean, it's a good work truck, and it's cheap. You know, I mean, it's kind of one of those things that, you know, when you need a fleet of truck like us, you know, I mean, you might buy a couple of these things because they're so cheap, you know. But it's our mowing truck. It's basically on a trailer all summer long, pulling mowers, and in the winter it's kind of my dad's plow truck, and he sands and salts with it and stuff like that, and plows a bunch of parking lots in town. And it's short, so it's really nice for getting around and stuff. Doesn't turn well. I was thinking at first that this truck would turn just like the 550 does, but it doesn't. Of course, I saved the absolute worst truck ever made for last. So we bought all these new, by the way. I'm not sure if I clarified that, including this thing. It is the worst truck I have ever had. I can't stand it. I don't even like looking at it, to be quite honest, but it is paid off. It doesn't cost me much money to run, so that's the only reason why we have it. Like I said, I ordered another 550. That comes in 4 months. And I just might keep it for another winter or two. Not 100% sure. but I will not shed a tear when this thing leaves. So a big difference that I have seen, since we have both here, the big difference from what I have seen for Ford versus GMC is Ford overbuilds. So your brakes are good, your payload's good, your truck doesn't squat as much. That's what I see. This GMC thing, like I said, we're on it. I think our fifth, I think my dad said it fourth, but I'm pretty sure we're on our fifth set of brakes for 67,000 miles, which is less than the 550. It just doesn't make any sense. You know, you go and put payload in this thing, and the whole entire back end drops, and your nose is up into the sky for 2 yards, and then you can't brake, and it's payload capacity. It's not like we're putting more than it can in it. These things are absolutely garbage. It's a 6.0 in it. That might explain the lack of power. You can't get it to go 60 miles an hour over hill loaded. It's a rust bucket. I can't stand looking at it. Like I said, hopefully it's got a shit body. You know, it's tiny. You can't fit anything in it. We had some really good winter tires for it. I guess that's one plus. The truck is actually a good ride. I don't know if that's a GMC thing or not, but it rides like a pickup truck. Probably because it should be a pickup truck and not a work truck. Rides good. The interior is nice. I'll admit that. The speakers are actually better than the 7.3s. Camera here, sander there. But yeah, that's, like I said, I mean, it's a 6.0. I mean, you can't ask it to do anything. It can't tow a skid steer. It can't do anything serious. You know, it can't really haul 3 yards of gravel. I mean, you can really only put 2 yards in it. Barely haul air, let alone material. But if you're a landscaper just starting out, which I was when I bought this, you know, it's all right for a year or two, and then you start getting into the big boy stuff, and it becomes useless. So it's kind of the situation we're in right now. We actually had as many as 6 at one point, but I got rid of 2 of them. We had a small, we called it like the toolbox. It was a small Tundra with all the tools in it. We just drive that around. Then we had a Peterbilt, which I don't know if I'd even classify that as anything. I mean, that was essentially scrap metal, but we won't get into that. So we are on to trailers. I think we have 5 here, and I think we have like a junk snowmobile trailer or something like that too. We'll start out with the newest one. This one actually might become my favorite trailer of all time. It is I believe a 14-foot enclosed trailer, ladder racks up top. I actually traded it for money off a job. Local contractor had it, but this fits all my hardscape tools in. That way we're not making 8 trips back to the shop looking for tools. Side door, ramp door out back, awesome lettering. It looks wicked sharp. Love the color. Nice ladder here to get up when I'm on chimneys, which hopefully I'm not really doing much more of. Here's our landscape trailer, or our mowing trailer. You can basically fit a walk behind with a side gate here, and we can fit 2 baggers, or well, when we're bagging, we can fit 2 baggers here. I believe the platform's 22 feet long. In total, it must be like 25 feet long, somewhere around there, but it's long. It's a good trailer. I think the rating it's pretty small. It's like a 10,000 pound gross trailer. So, you know, 3 mowers is about all you want on it, really. I mean, you wouldn't want to, obviously you can't haul a skid steer with it. You probably could haul the tractor if you wanted to. I would say the excavator would be pushing it. This is our trailer we use the most. It is the equipment trailer. It is beat up like you wouldn't believe. My dad's drove on to the wheel wells of the track skid steer and completely blown them out. The ramps are absolutely garbage right now. This thing is starting to become a rust bucket up top. Bottom still looks pretty decent. But yeah, I'll eventually be getting a new one, but hopefully that is when I upgrade to a 750 truck with air brakes, and I'll just get a 10-ton trailer. But we haul skid steers with this. It is a 14,000 pound gross trailer, so the skid steer is just about at its max payload. Obviously we got a wicked bent toolbox here with all of our binders and stuff. But this trailer's all right. You know, it's been good. I'd much rather have a deck over, because our track skid steer does, in my dad's defense, there is like an inch on each side of your wheel wells. So I mean, if you're off by a little bit, you're going to be landing on the wheel well, and that's not good. A deck over would be nice, but this is gonna have to do for now. This is our, what used to be our equipment trailer. We still have it. but then we got skid steers and we had to upgrade. I think the 10,000 pound gross is what this trailer is. I believe this one is 16 feet, that one is 18. I could be wrong. But yeah, you can haul the tractor with this. I mean, I wouldn't throw my excavator on it, but it'd be pretty close if you could or not. No, it's a good trailer. I like it. I never had issues with it. Of course, we didn't have skid steers at the time, so the wheel wells are okay. But yeah, my dad uses it really. He puts his hydro seeder on it, and it kind of stays like that in the summer. We don't really use it in the winter. Well, we don't use it really ever. But it's nice to have, you know, just in case you need to bring something or whatever and the other trailer is being used or on a job. It's just nice to have. You know, I like having backups. So probably my favorite trailer of all time is this one. It is an absolute monster, a 12-yard dump trailer. Obviously, no, we don't put 12 yards of gravel in it and drive it down the road because the axles would snap in half. We use it for snow, we use it for compost, we use it for mulch. All those things, we can really heap it up, you know, put 12, 14 yards in it at a time. We don't have the sideboards on it now, but we got some 12-inch sideboards that go across, and then you can really heap it. We use this thing a lot in the winter. We haul a lot of snow in town, you know, thousands of yards a year at least, and you know, it does a really good job. Cable for the pump is actually so long, we wire it into the truck cab so we don't even leave the seat of the truck when we do it. It is a 14,000 pound gross trailer. Well, that was kind of cool. This is a 14,000 pound gross trailer, which is the same as my skid steer trailer over there. Pretty heavy duty. I like it. The whole, I mean, this isn't really the trailer's fault, this is more my fault, but just because of how much I've beaten on it. You can see where it's splitting there or not, but we have bent the shit out of these doors. Love that trailer. Maybe kind of wish it was a little bit bigger with a little bit bigger axles, but it is what it is. We got them when they were cheap, so that's all that matters. Here's my yard. It's, like I said, sorry for it, A, not being that full, and then B, not being that clean. So sell some stuff here, aggregates and stuff. We do sell compost, we sell loam, sell super loam, mix it all together. Sell just black bark mulch. We sell clean stone, sand. We do winter sand in the winter. We have our sand salt mix in there, and we have our little ramp here that we built to load trucks because the tractor doesn't like to reach all the way. But yeah, other than that, that's our backyard here. We used to have a 40-foot shipping container there, but now it's filled with salt at the hospital. We have a 20-footer over there. We just have magic salt for local stuff. Here's our skid steer attachments. Probably the most satisfying attachments are these pickup brooms. We sweep a lot of parking lots. I think we did about 110 yards of winter sand pickup from all of our parking lots this year. We have two of the same things. That way one breaks down, we can just use the other. And for our really big jobs, we can use two at once. I don't think they're like 7-foot sweepers, but they sweep right into a bucket. Works great. Here are our buckets. I think the other ones are on the skid steers over there. We have a massive 2-yard bucket for snow and compost, mulch, 1.5-yard bucket, a 3/4 bucket, and then we have a 1/2-yard bucket, probably on one of those skid steers over there. We got 2 pallet forks. One's right there. Another one I believe is on a skid steer. Plows. Now these might just be my favorite attachments here. So we'll start off with the Arctics. These are the best snow pushers money can buy, in my opinion. Not even close. I mean, we have some scrap metal here and some scrap metal there. An 8-foot scrap metal. It's just a rubber blade. They do horrible. They're shitty. They're hard to work with. Not fun to use. We have a 14-foot. What brand is this? Scrap metal. Rubber blade. Does a shitty job, hard to use, very blind, you can't see what you're doing. You know, a 0 out of 10 pusher right here. Now to the real shit, Arctic. These things are amazing. They come into sections, because this one has 5. And when you hit a manhole just on this side, this one section will pick up and has like a foot of play, and these other ones will stick down, making sure you don't miss anything. And the best part is when you go up to a granite curb, you actually hit the curb and this whole entire pusher will swivel up, allowing your blade to get all the way up to the granite, and then once it hits the granite, it will raise up, so you don't miss anything. These save an incredible amount of salt, incredible amount of sand. They save time. They save you costly repairs for in the springtime because you won't be damaging as much. Anyone can operate these and figure it out very quickly. That's a 14, that's a 10.5, this is an 8. I'd really like to sell this scrap metal here and get either another 10.5 or another 8, I'm not sure yet. That's our plows. Yard here, there's some stone, random shit, you know, not organized or really anything here at all. This is just for one job. Like I said, we think we did 236 pallets at Gagney last year. I believe we were Auburn's #2 client, so we go through a lot of pallets of pavers. So we usually have this all cleared out with a big tower of pavers here, and that's about it. So there's our equipment, there's our attachments, there's our trucks and trailers. Quite a bit of shit. So here is our shop. I believe it's like a 24 by 48. Obviously way too small, but at least we have something. It is heated, propane, so that way before a storm we can get a truck or two in here. I had some LED lights put in both sides. Lights up pretty good. I have a catwalk. Put some stuff up there, tires, any miscellaneous items. Here are compactors. One's a Weber. Basically its main job is to go on top of the pavers with a rubber pad. I think it's like a 3,600 pound force. Weighs like 150 something pounds. 2 guys can put it into a truck, no problem. Here's a new one I just got. I've rented them for years and I finally decided to get one. It's a 10,000 pound force. I think it weighs like 800 pounds. It's diesel. That way we can fill it up easily with our auxiliary tank, forward and reverse. This is something I really like, but also at the same time I kind of don't like. It is a hot water power washer. It works awesome. We try to wash all of our trucks and all equipment after every snowstorm if we can. The bad thing I don't like about it is it always trips. It doesn't trip the actual breaker. It trips this over here that it's plugged into. Yeah, it's really weird. I can't figure out why. But sometimes it will go good for like 10 days and you won't even notice anything about it. And then every once in a great while it will just trip nonstop. So very annoying, but overall it works extremely good, and I can't even imagine not having one. Random shelf full of stuff. So again, sorry it's such a mess. You know, we got all of our greases, our fuel additives, all the wash, stuff like that for trucks, just any, you know, random things, oil for the 2-stroke motors. Here are our plows. We get a shitload. I think there's 6 here, but one of them's my girlfriend's. We only own 5. All the same except for one. We run the 9.5 Fishers XVs. It's really all we've ever had. No issues. They're unreal. They work great. Best plows in my opinion. We have a monster 10.5 for the 550. I don't know if you can tell by the video, but there is a big difference. And that plow is a beast. Literally about 4 feet tall on the sides. It's just crazy. And it actually articulates to the ground better. It's actually a pivot in the middle that allows the blade to articulate better than the 9.5s. And you actually notice it, believe it or not. So it does cut actually better even though it's bigger. So only one truck can take this, and that's the 550. If you put it on the other trucks, it basically rips the back end right off the ground. Random shelf space, work table, whatever you call it, light above it. Bunch of stuff, random, all over the place here, but I try to keep it organized best I can, but obviously pretty hard to when you're as busy as we are. We go with Echo and steel on just about everything. I love these backpacks. We had 4. I think I lost one of the good backpacks, but we had 4 good big ones. We have a couple of the small ones, you can see right here. Wish it was about 3 times as big, but at least I have one. Because I used to not have one back in the day and it sucked.